Assalamu alaikum and good evening, everyone. So my job tonight is to make the case for your investment in our work. Some of you have been longtime supporters, and others of you are new to the organization. But either way, it is always our job to make the case for your support. This is not something we take for granted. So let me start at the beginning. Our mission is to improve the public understanding of Islam and Muslims and to improve public policies that affect American Muslims. So we do this by engaging the government, engaging the media, as you just saw, and engaging communities, all of you. We have two main program areas then. One is to improve public understanding, and how do we do that? That's through our news media engagement, our engagement with Hollywood, and then to improve public policies by engaging those in government and outside of government who are decision makers and thought leaders on the policy issues that affect our community. And all this work is for a vision, a very clear vision. That is, America and the American pluralism is enriched by the vital contributions of American Muslims. Now, if you notice, this vision is pretty broad. It's not narrow. Our vision isn't that Muslims become more successful or Muslims become more influential. Our vision is that America flourishes because of American Muslims. Our vision is for America. So in order to make this case of investment for all of you, I have to explain to you what is our added value, what is our difference, what makes MPAC unique. There's a dynamic and vibrant ecosystem of Muslim organizations, of non-Muslim organizations that all do good work. But I believe MPAC, and we believe that MPAC offers something unique. MPAC goes beyond just identifying problems or pointing to civil rights violations or this issue or that issue. MPAC comes to the table with solutions. So beyond just identifying the problems, we come with solutions. So we work with policymakers to craft better policies. We work with those in the entertainment industry to create better portrayals of American Muslims. We work with those in the news industry to get better stories told. And then we work with communities so that they are equipped and in order to have an impact on these two areas. So our work is multifaceted. It is to engage at the highest levels of government, at the highest levels of media, but also to help American Muslims become vital contributors in those areas. So under this definition, MPAC is ensuring our civil rights and our civil liberties by embracing our civic responsibilities and providing leadership. This is what the American Muslim identity, coined by the late Dr. Maher Hathout, God rest his soul, meant, and this is what it means in action: to be inspired by our Muslim and Islamic faith to improve the society in which we live by offering solutions and taking a leading role in solving the problems of today. Just like we're doing at this convention to bridge racial, religious, and political divides, this is what the prophetic tradition means in an adapted for the 21st century. That is MPAC's difference. So now that I've covered the esoteric and theoretical arguments for why you should support MPAC, I'm going to get into some nitty-gritty and give you some numbers. But before I do that, I want to pause and just say one thing. We track and measure everything at MPAC. We track the influence of our policy recommendations. We track and measure the reach of our talking points and messaging. We track the geography of our supporters, who they are, what they look like, what they care about. We track the growth of our donor base. And we do this because we want to constantly assess the efficacy of our objectives. Are we doing the right things? Our strategies and our tactics, using both quantitative and qualitative measures to evaluate how much we're moving the needle on creating the social, political, and cultural change we're all working together. So to start with policy, this year we recognized after the election that we'd have to make a shift. Under the Obama administration, we had more ability to influence the executive branch, but now with this new administration, we shifted to the halls of Congress. And this year, 50+ members of Congress in their offices have used MPAC's 30+ policy memos, all created this year in their official statements, in resolutions, in their questions on hearings. This is our impact. No other Muslim organization has more of a presence on the Hill, in the halls of Capitol Hill, or an impact in what's coming out of congressional offices as it relates to Muslims. This year, we've turned our DC-based policy team into a polity recommendation machine. and our local supporters and steering committees across the country, Chicago, New York, into conveyor belts of policy, getting local issues elevated to a national level. In the media, we've had 15+ editorials published by MPAC or MPAC supporters in the leading publications. And we've consulted on over 10 projects in the entertainment industry, including a Muslim superhero on Nickelodeon and a hijab-wearing surgeon on TV's most popular medical drama. This work in educating and convincing media producers in film, television, news is to promote authentic, nuanced, and inclusive portrayals of Islam and Muslims. And so I'll say it again, I don't think any other Muslim organization has a larger impact on the content you're seeing both on the news and in entertainment than MPAC. So let me talk about our growth. I think we can all agree that the numbers and the theory of change that I've articulated is something that we can get behind, but we're not satisfied. We want those numbers of congressional offices and publications and appearances on the media that you just saw to double and triple over the coming years. So since 2010, we've increased our revenue and budget by 50%, and our goal is that by 2020, we'll increase that budget by 100% from the 2010 benchmark. We believe this growth is sustainable if we can do a few things. One is to convince our existing donors, many of you in this room, to increase their annual contributions or make transformative gifts to the organization. The second is to recruit new donors to become annual contributors from across the country. And third is to expand the reach of our supporter base and donor base by increasing the geographic diversity of our board of directors and our National Advisory Council. We have detailed plans for all of these things, and I'm happy to go into more numbers and stuff with you for those of you who are data-driven, geeks. But my ask of all of you right now is to think about how you fit into that plan that I just articulated. Now that I've gone through the numbers, I can get some into the fun stuff, which is our major wins of the year. Because of MPAC's reputation in DC, we've been able to recruit top talent to come to the organization. Earlier this year, Zaki Berzinji joined our policy team as our senior policy advisor. Before joining MPAC, Zaki was Senior Associate Director of Public Engagement at the White House and President Obama's top advisor on issues affecting the Muslim community. As you'd expect, after leaving the White House, Zaki had many options on where to go in the private, nonprofit, public sectors, but he chose MPAC. And he chose MPAC because as President Obama's top official working with the American Muslim community, he knew the impact of our policy work and wanted to be a part of that team. Last spring, we worked with Senator Kamala Harris's office to pass her first piece of legislation as a U.S. Senator, a resolution condemning hate crimes against Muslims and other religious communities. There's another first here. This is the first bill, the first piece of legislation to pass the United States Senate that was sponsored by a Muslim organization. So take a minute here to let those two firsts sink in. Senator Harris, who by all accounts is only beginning her national political career, her first piece of legislation that passed was an MPAC-sponsored resolution. And MPAC was able to be the first Muslim organization to get a bill past the U.S. Senate despite the current political gridlock. The Senate currently has not been able to pass a new healthcare law, fix immigration, tax reform, so MPAC actually has a better track record than both Mitch McConnell and Chuck Schumer. This year, California became the first state to become a sanctuary state. And to some, all right, we can get some applause for that. And to some, our work on this issue that started at our last convention may seem odd for a Muslim organization, but because we believe in providing solutions for America, in this case undocumented immigrants who came to this country to work hard and create a better life for their families, it was imperative for us to take on this issue. And because of our existing engagement, it was actually LA Mayor Eric Garcetti that asked for Salam to work with the immigrant rights communities to get law enforcement, or some segments of law enforcement, who are opposing this bill to actually support it. So pause to think about that. The mayor and the mayor's office, they didn't ask the ACLU, they didn't ask the immigrants' rights groups to take on this big, important task. They asked MPAC. Why? Because of MPAC's track record and success in getting diverse and even oppositional groups together to bridge divides. Salam and MPAC were successful in helping make California the first sanctuary state in the country, and more importantly, MPAC and the work that we did with our coalition partners have now offered a solution and a model that can be taken to other states. This is MPAC and what we call the American Muslim identity at work. From the moment that President Trump announced the anti-Muslim and anti-Semitic extremists Steve Bannon and Sebastian Gorka would be taking top positions in the White House, we partnered with our Jewish allies at Bend the Arc to start a campaign to remove them from office. Now, this campaign started and many groups joined, and after many months of sustained public pressure, both Sebastian Gorka and Steve Bannon were asked to leave. And our joint campaign that started with our Jewish allies was named by The Nation magazine as the most valuable activist campaign of the year. That's MPAC's coalition building at work. When the first Muslim travel ban was started, we worked with our advisory council member, George Takei, to start a petition. George used his story of Japanese internment to call on others and those in the Japanese and other communities to oppose the ban. It garnered 320,000 signatures and was actually the most successful petition against the Muslim ban that was out there. And this year marked our 10th year of our Young Leaders Development Program. Over those 10 years, we've graduated over 600 American Muslim youth, college-aged high school students through our programs. And now they're working in news media, in entertainment, in the technology sector, and in government. MPAC is not only creating solutions for today, but also creating the leaders to solve the problems of tomorrow. As I mentioned, one of our strategies is to increase the diversity, the geographic diversity of our board of directors. And we've recruited new board members from Chicago and we're recruiting from New York. While these cities have active and vibrant Muslim organization, they lacked an organization that was able to take these local conversations and elevate them and translate them into a national dialogue. And that's where MPAC comes in. That's our strength. And lastly, just this week, our Hollywood Bureau Director, Sue Obeidi, was named by Variety magazine as one of the most important and influential people in Hollywood working for inclusion. This is a list of about 60 movers and shakers, including Oprah Winfrey, Mahershala Ali, Shonda Rhimes, Kumail Nanjiani, and Carlos Santana. This recognition by the entertainment industry's top business magazine is a testament of the impact we're having in changing the narrative of Islam and Muslims in Hollywood. So let me end with this. Tonight, yes, it's about MPAC, but really, it's about the social, political, and cultural change that we, as a community of God-conscious and socially conscious people, want to create together. I may be here on stage and talking to you about this work, but really our goal is together. We just have different roles. So in that way, MPAC is not the end. MPAC is just a means for the change we want to see in our country. MPAC takes the community's resources, the community's money, the community's time, the community's talent, and transforms that work into the programs that create change. In that way, MPAC is the vehicle and the engine, but all of you are the fuel that makes all this operation work. It's a cycle that requires the participation of all of us. Specifically tonight, I'm asking for your participation in contributing financially to help this cycle continue. So let your motivation tonight for giving not be solely dependent on how much you like MPAC, or how much you like Omar, or how much you like Sue or Salam. Rather, let your motivation be how quickly you want to see the change and this cycle of change accelerate. And I hope you want it to accelerate fast.